Welcome, dear viewers. Today, we journey to the fog-covered coasts and ancient redwood forests of Northern California to hear the voice of the Wiyot people, keepers of a haunting prophecy. The land will shiver, and the sea will return. This is not just poetry. It is a deep, ancestral warning, carried on the winds, whispered through the trees, and etched into memory. The Wiyot lived for centuries in harmony with the land and ocean. They observed nature not as a resource, but as a sacred mirror. When the earth trembles, when the sea rises, something deeper is being stirred. As science now warns of a massive Cascadia earthquake and possible tsunami in the Pacific Northwest, the ancient words of the Wiyot feel more than symbolic. They feel prophetic. Could this be a glimpse into a repeating cycle? A spiritual imbalance reflected through the earth's own shaking? Or a final call to return? To balance, humility, and ancestral wisdom? If this message resonates with you, please like this video, share it with others who care about our planet. And don't forget to subscribe for more indigenous prophecies and earth teachings. You can also support our work with a super thanks. Every gesture helps keep these sacred voices alive. Thank you for watching. May the wisdom of the ancestors guide your path. The Wiyot are a Native American tribe, rooted along the Eel River Delta, Humboldt Bay, and the windswept coastline of what we now call Humboldt County, California. Their homeland is carved by the rhythms of water. Rugged cliffs, river mouths, sacred groves. Each landscape holding memory, each place a living story. The Wiyot were fishers, gatherers, stewards of the earth's fragile edge. But more than that, they were listeners. To the tides, to the winds, to the spirit carried in stone, wave, and tree. Their oral traditions speak of earth-based cosmology, ancestral visitations, and of messages from the land and sea. For the Wiyot, the natural world was not separate from the sacred. It was the voice of their ancestors, alive, aware, and watchful. One of their most haunting prophecies still echoes today. The land will shiver, and the sea will return. Just 7 words. Yet within them, a deep, layered warning. To the Wiyot, this was not just a myth, but a cycle, a memory of past destruction, and a vision of what may come again. When humans fall out of balance with the earth, are we listening? The sea will return. This part of the prophecy is even more chilling. The sea, once pushed back, comes rushing forward. A tsunami, a massive wave crashing inland, reclaiming what was once its own. Wiyot elders speak of great floods, of longhouses swept away, of entire villages lost to the sea. These are not just legends. They are memories, woven into the tribe's living story, and they carry a deeper meaning. That the return of the sea is not a random act, but a response, a correction, one that happens again and again. When the harmony between human and earth is broken, this prophecy is not just about the past. It is a mirror, held up to our time. The question is, will we hear it before the land shivers again? On a quiet winter night, January 26, 1700, the earth ruptured along the Cascadia Subduction Zone. A massive earthquake, estimated at magnitude 9, shook the coastline from Northern California to British Columbia. The sea pulled back and then surged forward. A towering tsunami raced across the Pacific, crashing into the shores of Japan, where scribes recorded it, without knowing its source. But the Wiyot, the Maka, the Nulf, they already knew. In their stories, the ground shook. Thunder rolled from no clouds. The ocean vanished, then roared back. These weren't legends. They were memories, preserved with reverence. Long before satellites or seismographs, these tribal nations remembered. They remembered what science would only confirm centuries later. And the Wiyot prophecy. The land will shiver, and the sea will return. Was it a warning from the past, or a vision of what's still to come? Because the earth remembers, and so do its original peoples. To the Wiyot people, the power of the sea is not merely geological, it is spiritual. When the ocean rises, it's not just tectonic plates shifting beneath our feet. It is the earth speaking. It is the ancestors remembering. It is the sacred order demanding balance. The sea responds when that balance is broken. When humans dishonor the land. When they forget the ancestors who once walked gently upon it. When they disrespect the waters that give life. When greed and violence drown out harmony. Then the sea stirs, not in rage, but in reminder. To the Wiyot, a tsunami is not a random act of nature. It is a message. A consequence, not a punishment. Modern science may explain the fault lines, the subduction zones, the wave patterns, but indigenous wisdom listens deeper. It asks, what have we done to shake the earth? What must we do to restore balance? Where modern thought sees chaos, the Wiyot see warning. Where the West sees disaster, they see dialogue. The earth does not forget, and neither should we. This ancient view invites us to live in relationship, not domination. To hear, not just to measure. To respect, not just to explain. In recent decades, Humboldt County and the lands of Northern California have changed, not just in form, but in spirit. Ancient redwoods, once towering in silent witness, have been cut down. The coastline erodes, little by little, as if the earth itself is pulling away. Rivers once teeming with life now carry the burden of pollution. Earthquake swarms whisper beneath our feet. Sea levels rise, as if the land is beginning to shiver. Are these signs of imbalance or warnings? Are we witnessing the first tremors of what the Wiyot and other tribes already foresaw? Because to them, prophecy is not only written in rock and wave. It's carried in memory, in ritual, in the soul of a people. When we forget the dead, when we abandon sacred ceremony, when we silence the voices that speak for the earth, the spiritual balance fractures. The Chilliwack Island massacre of 1860 is not just a historical tragedy, it is a spiritual wound. Over 80 Wiyot people were murdered, while in the middle of their world renewal ceremony. A ceremony meant to heal the earth itself. What happens when that healing is violently stopped? When sacred land is stained with blood and ritual silenced? The Wiyot believe that violence left a scar, not just on their people, but on the land. Could today's tremors be echoes of that pain? Could the earth be remembering what we've tried to forget? Maybe the land is speaking again, and it's time we listened. In many native traditions, time doesn't move in a straight line, it flows in a spiral. What has happened can happen again, but not as repetition, as return, a chance to learn or to repeat the same mistakes. The Wiyot people speak of a prophecy not rooted in one final moment, but in a pattern. First, a forgetting, of ceremony, of ancestors, of the sacred bond with the land. Then, a disruption, nature turning restless, waters rising, earth shaking. Next comes the return of water, a flood not just of the sea, but of memory, of truth, of consequence. But it doesn't end in despair, because within this spiral, there's a chance to renew. The prophecy may sound like a warning, and it is, but it also carries a deep and quiet hope. The sea will return, but not forever. If people turn back, to balance, to gratitude, to right relationship with the earth, then healing becomes possible. In recent years, the Wiyot have begun to revive the world renewal ceremony, the very ritual once silenced by violence, not as performance, but as prayer, a call to heal the land, to honor the ancestors, to begin again. The prophecy reminds us, the cycle can change if we choose renewal over ruin. And maybe, just maybe, the earth will respond. These are not fairy tales. Wiyot prophecy, and that of many native peoples, is not superstition. It is cultural memory. It is spiritual science. It is earth-based intelligence passed through generations. These messages are encoded in story, song, and ceremony. But they carry the weight of survival. Ignoring them has cost humanity dearly. Listening to them could save lives. Scientists now warn. The Cascadia Subduction Zone is overdue. A megaquake, a tsunami, a coast reshaped. And guess what? Wiyot oral history already saw it coming. For generations, they told of the sea returning. Suddenly, violently, without warning. Today, emergency planners finally take these ancient stories seriously. Because the earth doesn't care if you believe it. It will move. The sea may return with or without your faith. But this prophecy is not only about waves or fault lines. It's about something deeper, something missing. The earth shakes when humanity forgets its soul, when greed replaces gratitude, when we violate the sacred balance. The shaking is physical, yes, but also moral, also spiritual. Wiyot wisdom calls us to more than survival. It calls us to return, to the sacred, to humility, to relationship. Because if we heal the spirit, we just might soften the blow, or even stop the cycle. The Wiyot prophecy, the land will shiver and the sea will return, is not just ancient poetry. It is a living voice still speaking, through winds that whisper over Humboldt Bay, through trembling ground beneath our feet, through rising tides and hearts that know something is wrong. This isn't fear-mongering. It's remembrance, a call not just to prepare, but to awaken. In an age of fractured soil, burning skies, and rising waters, we must ask ourselves, have we honored the land? Have we listened to the ancestors? Have we kept the sacred balance? Because the earth remembers even when we forget. The Wiyot story is not just about disaster. It is a map back to harmony. A warning, yes, but also a blessing. One last invitation. Return to balance before the water does. Thank you for watching. If this message moved you, honor it. Share it. Reflect on it. Listen deeply. Because sometimes the oldest stories are the ones that matter most right now.